Hey guys, sorry to kind of jump on here right before you guys are going to watch the podcast, but I wanted to just give you guys fair warning. There were some technical difficulties towards the beginning of the podcast, from basically the beginning towards based on the video length. I'm in the middle of editing it right now, so I'd say right around 8 or 9 minutes in, you'll see the cut from kind of one segment to the next. And in between segments, I kind of figured out that there were some technical difficulties going on. So you're going to hear a reasonable jump in volume and clarity on my microphone there. So you guys will probably distinguish it. But I wanted to give you guys fair warning. I do apologize. There were some technical difficulties we were trying to deal with while I was recording this. But I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast anyway. I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get into it. And we are here. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Lopes Goes Last podcast. I, of course, am your host, Tyler Lopes. If you have not subscribed, please feel free to do so. Also, hit that bell icon so you never miss any one of my videos. Please like and share so you can help the podcast grow. And please follow me on Facebook and Twitter. That is at Lopes Goes Last podcast on Facebook and at Lopes Goes Last on Twitter. Links to those will be down in the description below. As always, so a little bit later episode this week. I do apologize. I am working through a lot of stuff. I have still yet to put out the announcement that I am going to put out early this week. So do keep an eye out for that. There's going to be some changes that are going to be occurring, and they're very exciting, and I will not divulge any more than that. So just keep your eyes peeled for that video because it's going to reveal a lot. Now, just a couple of things I want to talk about this week. The first being that the Los Angeles Dodgers are kind of going a little bit crazy right now. And it's very interesting because, I haven't really thought a whole lot about the Dodgers this year. I think most people are talking about their division mates in the San Diego Padres, who I think were a favorite to win the World Series at the beginning of the year. Now, obviously, they are very out of contention at this point, barring any kind of incredible turnaround. They probably will not even make the postseason or even come close to making the postseason at this point. And obviously the Arizona Diamondbacks, who I think have been the main surprise, at least in my mind, of the year, because I've said this several times on the podcast. I thought that they would do this next year, and this year they'd kind of be okay, a little bit below 500, maybe third or fourth in the division, and be, have next year be the year that everybody steps up. And you know what? They've been so darn good that they kind of are a little bit early in my mind. Their hitters are young and they're talented, and they are relentless. Their pitching staff needs work, their bullpen needs work, but you know what? To who's his own, and not every team can be perfect. So, anyways, I think that most people are not really talking about the Dodgers until the last couple of days because they have swung some very interesting trades. The first of which that I want to talk about hits home for me as a Red Sox fan. They traded for Kike Hernandez, formerly of the Boston Red Sox, and formerly before that of the Dodgers. So obviously Kike Hernandez with a little bit of a homecoming there, and in exchange, the Red Sox got a couple of pitching prospects. From what I understand about them, they're a little bit low-level pitching prospects, but that's fine. We honestly need as many pitching prospects as we possibly can just in general, because the Red Sox pitching is not very good. So, yeah, I think it was time. I think it was time. Kike Hernandez has not been a very good hitter for the Red Sox. Now, look. 2 years ago in that postseason run, he was on fire, and it was so much fun. I'm sure it was very frustrating for anybody who played the Red Sox to see a guy who was hitting .235 in the regular season hit a home run basically every single time he went up to the plate in the postseason until the very end, obviously. But, that was a lot of fun. I don't necessarily have any personal attachment to Kike Hernandez, so you know what? Good for him. He's getting to go back to where it all started for him. The Dodgers fans love him out there. He did great for them. I was happy to have signed him because we needed guys that were going to be leaders in the locker room and in the clubhouse. And we needed guys that were flexible, that could play multiple positions, and Kike Hernandez is both of those to a T. So he did what he could. But I'm just being honest with you, he hasn't been very good since that postseason run. He's been statistically one of the worst players offensively in baseball this year for somebody who's consistently playing. It's just been very bad. So Trevor Story coming back. He's probably going to be our shortstop now. So, good for the Dodgers, getting Kike Hernandez back to be their shortstop. But interestingly, they weren't done there. They actually traded for another shortstop in Ahmed Rosario. Now, I don't remember what they gave up for Ahmed Rosario at the time that I was looking into it. I don't think it had come out yet that they traded or what they traded for Ahmed Rosario, but I can only presume it was some kind of low-level to mid-level prospect, maybe two. So it is what it is. I believe he played for the Guardians. So you know what? Again, more flexibility, right? A guy that could play multiple positions, but is mainly a shortstop. Kind of like Kike Hernandez. Kike Hernandez, he proved that he can play second base. He can play center field. He can play all these different positions. And Ahmed Rosario, not quite as flexible and not quite as... I'm not sure what the term I'm looking for is. I'm just blanking right now. But not quite as movable as Kike Hernandez. But still can play multiple positions, and I think now what's good is that you could put Mookie Betts back in the outfield. I know he's been playing a lot of second base for the Dodgers this year, so now you can move him back to the outfield because you can have Rosario at short or Kike Hernandez at second or vice versa, or you could just have one of those guys in the lineup and have whoever else you feel like putting out there at second base, and Mookie Betts can move out to right field where he has been an all-star for his entire career, and he has won multiple gold gloves and all that good and fun stuff. So I think it was great. Two pretty solid trades for the Dodgers. Made their major league roster a little bit better and a lot more flexible. So that's obviously never a bad thing when you are trying to hang on to a very slim division lead out there in the West. But the big one today that dropped a few hours ago by the time I'm recording this was the Dodgers traded for Lance Lynn and Joe Kelly from the Chicago White Sox in exchange for a package including Trace Thompson, the outfielder who I feel like is most notable and most well-known for being all-star shooting guard Klay Thompson's brother, and a couple of other prospects as well thrown in there too. So, Lance Lynn has had a pretty bad year. He's had a couple of really dominant starts, and the White Sox seem pretty hell-bent on leaving him out there despite his struggles. I'm not going to compare Lance Lynn to Jordan Lyles in any way, but I feel like they're kind of having similar roles right now, in which, Jordan Lyles, while the Royals are just atrociously bad, and the White Sox are pretty bad too, and Jordan Lyles is just going to basically lose every game that he pitches in, the White Sox are also kind of having Lance Lynn be in that role because both those guys are basically just out there to save the bullpen. Like, hey, I don't care if you give up 8 runs, you're going 6 or 7 innings because, all these other guys that are pitching, they're not going to last 3 or 4 innings. So we've got to basically destroy our bullpen. So you're the guy that's going to go out there and, eat up all these innings even though you're giving up a ton of runs. Lance Lynn has thrown 120 innings this year, despite being injured for the first couple of weeks of the season. And guess what? 120 innings isn't all that bad. I don't think he's on pace to hit 200 innings, but he's going to be pretty darn close. And his ERA is over 6. I mean, horrible. He's not pitching well, but they keep leaving him out there for long periods of time. 6 innings, 7 innings, 8 innings, giving up 5, 6, 7 runs. It's crazy. What they're doing to poor Lance Lynn. Now, again, he's had a couple of really dominant starts. I think he had a start where he had like 15 strikeouts or something crazy like that. But look, he's a fastball pitcher that doesn't throw 97 miles an hour. He throws 90 to 93. And he's a fastball pitcher. He gets outs with his fastball in a league that pretty much dominates fastballs at this point. Lance Lynn's pitching style, quite frankly, I think is getting a little outdated for today's baseball. If you're going to be a fastball pitcher, you got to have gas, absolute gas. And even the guys that have absolute gas are still getting fastballs crushed because there's not enough movement on it. So I just think Lance Lynn is getting to that point where his prime is over. If he's not already there, his prime's probably already over at this point. Let's be honest with ourselves. But you know what? The Dodgers need some pitching. They got rid of Noah Syndergaard, who also was pitching terribly. And so he basically is going to slide right in and take Noah Syndergaard's spot in a rotation that is already pretty solid. Obviously with Kershaw, Buehler I think is out for the year, so he's not really pitching. But, it's still a decently solid rotation out there in LA. But, maybe a change of scenery will do him some good. He's been traded in the past halfway through the season, and it has not worked out. I remember him getting traded to the Yankees back in like 2016 or 17 or 18 or, obviously a handful of years ago, and he did not play well at all for them. He really struggled moving to a new city, and then he eventually signed with the Rangers, I believe, and he ended up turning his whole career around and ended up making an all-star game, and he was very, very good, and then now he's here with the White Sox, and he's been okay until this year. So, yeah, maybe he'll figure things out in LA. Maybe he won't. Time will tell. But I'm rooting for him. I like Lance Lynn. I hope that he gets things figured out. I just don't know he will because, again, his style of pitching is just not conducive to success in today's baseball as far as I'm concerned. And it's showing this year. I mean, he has a 7 ERA for a reason. So, as far as I am concerned, I'm not sure what he's going to do to help the Dodgers. I'm not sure if I trust him in a playoff rotation at this point for the Dodgers, who are legitimately trying to win a World Series. So, but time will tell. We'll see. But the point being is the Dodgers have made a few moves to really shore up their roster, and it's interesting to me because, I feel like the Dodgers do this every year, so it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. But I feel like this year, everybody's just kind of been talking about their division mates and their division rivals, but they really haven't, their rivals haven't really done a whole lot in terms of trades, but the Dodgers have. And so the Dodgers are trying their best to be better. And it's up to the rest of the division to try and catch up with them. But we'll see what happens as the season rolls through and as playoffs start. Will these moves help the Dodgers make and even win a World Series? We'll have to see. Okay, so once again, we are going to talk about the Los Angeles Angels. I know, guys, I know. I talk about them every week, it seems like. And you know what? You're probably right. But there's a reason why I talk about them every week, and it's because they have an alien as the best player on their team, and yet they're still mediocre, as they always are. So, anyways, I am going to talk about Shohei Ohtani, but I feel like this week it's a little bit more justified because Shohei Ohtani, first of all, has been obviously in trade rumors all throughout the season and in the previous offseason, all the way up until now, and the Angels have effectively said that they are not trading Shohei Ohtani. Now, while that does mildly disappoint me, because I kind of would have liked to see the trade package that they would have gotten for Shohei Ohtani, I don't blame them, because they are slightly above 500. They're, only 4 or 6 or whatever games out of a wild card spot. They're trying to trade for guys that, can help them out. They traded for Lucas Giolito, which was a really shrewd move, I think. And they also got Reynaldo Lopez. Second time those guys have been traded together, by the way. LOL. Reynaldo, remember when people thought Reynaldo Lopez would be the better prospect? Yikes. That did not turn out well. But, so the Angels are trying to win. And I think it's great. I think it's great. Obviously, I just want Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout to win games and make it to the playoffs. That's what I would like, regardless of what team they're on, because they're the 2 best baseball players on the planet, and I would like to see it. Now, you know what? I gotta be honest with you guys. come here. All right, we're gonna talk about this because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. I love Mike Trout. I do. I don't think he's the best player in the world anymore. I don't think that's a super hot take. I think Shohei Ohtani is the best player in the world. However, this might be a hot take. I don't think he's number 2 either. Yeah, I don't think he's number 2 either. I think Ronald Acuna Jr. is number 2. Yes, my Braves fans are going to jump up and down for joy. I know. I'm out of my mind. But I feel it. I feel that way. I do. I do. I'm sorry. I shouldn't. I know. It's like it hurts. It makes me feel like I'm gonna throw up. I got a pressure in my chest that I can't get rid of, and I had to get it out. I didn't want to say anything because I'm afraid of judgment, and I'm afraid that people are gonna hate me for the rest of it. No, I really don't care about any of that. That's just how I feel. You can yell at me if you want to. Go right ahead. I think Ronald Acuna Jr. is the second best player in the world. Fight me if you don't believe that. Anyway, moving back to what I was talking about earlier, the Angels are trying to win. And so I just want Shohei and Mike Trout and the crew to win and make the playoffs, regardless of what team they are on. Unfortunately, they are on the Angels, and I am not okay with it. I never will be okay with it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the Angels have been mediocre since basically 2009, I would say. I am really, really sick and tired of watching these Angels just throw away this opportunity where you have the 2 best players in the world on your team and you are doing absolutely nothing with it. And it's frustrating for all of us baseball players, but you know what? It is what it is. I can't control that. So, yeah, I guess I'm happy that they're trying to win, but I would have liked to see Shohei Ohtani get moved. But on top of that, even crazier is Shohei Ohtani did something yesterday or the day before, at time of recording, that I have never seen ever in my life at any level. And apparently it's been done before by some dude in like the 40s or something. Great, good for you. But Shohei Ohtani, in a doubleheader, in the first game, he threw a one-hitter, and then in the second game, he hit 2 more home runs. Okay, this is not like high school baseball, right, where you could see that stuff happen all the time. This is professional baseball, and Shohei Ohtani is just making a mockery of everything that we all hold dear as the game of baseball. It's amazing. It's truly remarkable what they are doing, or what he is doing. I don't know what. Shohei Ohtani is not a they. I mean, he might be. It's 2023. But what he is doing is just amazing. And I know I laud him every week, but the reason I laud him every week is because he deserves it, and because he's genuinely doing things that not only I have never seen before, but I don't think any of us have ever seen before. And that's why I think he's the best player in the world. And I'll tell you what, man. Angels. Please figure out a way to make the playoffs, please. Because, look, this is Shohei Ohtani's last year of his contract, okay? He is probably going to make $400+ million. If not $500+ million. I have even heard people say, now I don't know if I feel this, but I've heard people say $600 million, which would just shatter all kinds of American sport records. Obviously, I think soccer players are making contracts like that sometimes, but I mean, even in that universe, it might not be necessarily all that common for $600 million contracts. And even if it is, you're talking about your Messis and your Ronaldos and your Mbappes and all these guys that are phenomenal, that are just, top of the line, best in the world, conversation guys. So, I mean, if $600 million, if that's what he gets paid, that's going to be just wild to think about. But we'll see if that happens. But going back to the Angels, if you don't make the postseason this year, I don't know what you're going to do, because you're paying Anthony Rendon $40 million to be a below-average player. You're paying, all this money for pitching that's not really helping you out. And now you're going to pay, you're paying Mike Trout, which he deserves to be paid that much. And then you're going to try and pay Shohei Ohtani that much. What are you going to do for the rest of their careers outside of exactly what you've been doing, which is not giving them any talent and not surrounding them with anybody of any note? Like, what are you going to do? Shohei Ohtani is going to eventually just want to win things. He's not just going to want to hang out in LA all the time for the rest of his life, because there's no purpose in that. There's no, I'm sure LA is fun and everything, but at a certain point, your career needs to feel like it's vindicated. And I want Shohei Ohtani to be the best baseball player of all time. I want him to be. And in my mind, the current best baseball player of all time never won a World Series. And I think that is a crime shame. I don't want the next best baseball player of all time to be another guy who was wasted in his entire career and never played on any good teams, and at this point has never even made the postseason. Now, granted, he's only been in the league for a few years, and he's still got, hopefully, plenty of time left. I mean, you never know. It could all end tomorrow. But hopefully he sticks around for quite a while and he'll have a chance. But, I mean, man, at least Barry Bonds with the Pirates made it to the NLCS a couple of times and ended up losing in, Game 7 and stuff like that before he went to the Giants. And even with the Giants, he made the World Series and ended up losing in 7. So, at least he had a chance. Shohei hasn't even made the playoffs yet because the Angels are so incompetent. My point is, if the Angels don't make the playoffs this year, I would be heartbroken if Shohei Ohtani re-signed with the Angels. Because, again, if they couldn't surround Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani with talent, with both of them making, with Mike Trout obviously making 40+ million or whatever it is, but then Shohei not making 40 or 50 million, how in the world are they going to surround them with talent when they're both making, $100 million combined a year? How in the world is that going to happen? It's not going to happen. I'll tell you, for free. It isn't. Because you're not going to have any money to give anybody else that's any good. If you get lucky and you have guys come up in the farm system that's good, you might have one or two that coincide with the prime of Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout if you're lucky. And when their contracts are up, you're not going to be able to pay them. So it's just going to be a mess. So I hope they make the playoffs. I doubt they're going to win a championship. I mean, they're just not that good. But I want a wild card game. I want Shohei Ohtani to pitch in the wild card game. And I want him to absolutely dominate, have them go to the ALDS, and then they can lose to the Rays. I don't know, whoever the heck they play at that point. Whatever it is, I just want to see Shohei Ohtani pitch in the playoffs just once before he decides to go wherever he's going to go. My worry is he's going to be a Yankee, and I'm going to be the saddest human being that I've ever, you could ever possibly be, because then because right now, the best baseball player of all time, in my opinion, never played for the Yankees, and that gives me comfort. And if Shohei Ohtani wins 3 World Series with the Yankees and he's making $60 million a year, I'm going to be so sad. It's going to be heartbreaking for me. But hopefully that won't happen. We'll see. I don't want him to go back to the Angels if they're going to keep just being mediocre. But yeah. I don't know, guys. I'm stressed about it. I don't want to think about Shohei Ohtani on the Yankees or on the Dodgers on the Red Sox would be nice, but we're not paying him that much money. So we'll see what happens. Let's hope that Shohei Ohtani and the Angels can coexist for the rest of the year and hopefully make a nice little playoff run. All right. Last but not least, I'm sure you guys figured I'd be talking about this, and I saved it for last. So hopefully you guys enjoy this segment. Hopefully you guys agree with this segment. And even if you don't agree with it, that's okay. Because there's nothing but love from me to you. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Anyway, Jaylen Brown. Boy howdy. 5 years, $304.7 million contract extension with the Boston Celtics. It was something I knew was going to happen. It was something I predicted that it would happen. Not necessarily that much. I didn't know exactly the amount of money a max contract would be for him. I usually said around $300 million because of, something like that. I said on this very show, I didn't necessarily want it to happen, but it had to happen because I don't think the Celtics had much choice. Now, what in the banana sandwich are we going to do when Jason Tatum is a free agent? Because think about this. Kristaps Porzingis has just re-signed for $30 million over the next couple of years. Per year, not $30 million total. That would have been hilarious. $30 million a year. So he's making $36 million this year. He's going to make $30 million next year and the year after that. The year after that, Jason Tatum's contract is ready. It's this upcoming offseason as far as I know. I'm pretty sure. Jason Tatum is going to be eligible for like a $340 million contract extension. And look, I understand that I've given Jason Tatum some crap over the years. And I've also given Jaylen Brown some crap over the years, most recently when he decided that dribbling is for suckers and Jaylen Brown is no sucker in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. But if the Celtics keep Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum, I'm going to explode. I'm going to explode. Because what Jason Tatum has showed you, while he is not perfect in any way, he is your alpha. In Game 6 against Milwaukee 2 years ago, he showed out. In Game 7 against Philadelphia, he showed out. Yes, have there been games where he shrunk? Absolutely. Jaylen Brown has not had a game in the playoffs where he has scored 40 points to lead us to a victory when everybody else is struggling, to my knowledge. Now, if there's something that I'm forgetting, if there's something like that, please let me know because I'd be more than happy to read about it and kind of revisit it because I don't remember. Now, he's had good playoff games. It's not to say he never performs well in the playoffs. He was the best player on our finals team. Jason Tatum just did not play well. He was apparently pretty injured. That's what he said. I don't know for sure. But Jaylen Brown played better than Jason Tatum in the finals. Absolutely. Did he have any 40-point nights? No. Did he will his team to a victory at one point? No. But Jason Tatum has many times. I've seen him drop 60-plus points when we were down by 30 against the Spurs. I saw him against the Brooklyn Nets with James Harden and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant without Jaylen Brown drop 55 points in a playoff series that the Celtics had no business even winning one game. And he went out there and he willed them to one game. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean it didn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things because obviously they lost in 5 anyway, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Jason Tatum has that in him. He can do that. I've not seen that out of Jaylen Brown, and I don't think we're going to either. So if you choose Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum, I'm going to explode, but that, honestly, is what it's looking like. Now, apparently, with the new CBA in the NBA, you theoretically could have 2 contracts like that on the same team. Now, I don't know how the heck that works with Kristaps Porzingis' contract and Robert Williams' $15 million contract and Al Horford's $10 million contract and, Derek White making, 12 or whatever million dollars a year it is. Malcolm Brogdon under contract for $20 million a year for the next 2 or 3 years or whatever it is. That's where I'm going to start wondering how in the world we're going to make it work. Now, there's going to be opportunities to get rid of some contracts, sure. I'm sure Malcolm Brogdon is probably going to be gone. at some point. I'm hoping that Derek White this offseason is just focusing on making himself a pure point guard that can shoot threes and that can run an offense. Because if he can turn himself into that, I'd love for Derek White to be a starting point guard for us. Because then you'd have a legitimate point guard version of Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, and Robert Williams. Or Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis. Al Horford needs to play the 4. Stop putting him at the 5. Please. Please. So, I would love either of those lineups if Derek White actually becomes a pure point guard. If he doesn't and he's not really great at running an offense, then we're really going to struggle. We're really, really, really going to struggle because you need a guy that can kind of slow everything down, calm everybody down. You know they're not going to turn the ball over, and they're going to get themselves or somebody else a wide open look or an easy bucket in some way, shape, or form. But that is going to be tough this year because Malcolm Brogdon's going to be out for a lot of the year. Peyton Pritchard is basically a revolving door on defense, and it's not his fault. It's just his size, basically. People could just take advantage of him. And then Derek White, not a pure point guard. Now, if he can turn himself into a pure point guard, we're golden. We're staying golden, Pony Boy. But until I see that with my own 2 eyes, I'm going to be a little bit cynical. I'm going to be a little bit worrisome. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, so back to the contract extension. I knew it was going to happen, but I was just kind of hoping that the Celtics wouldn't do it. But you know what? They have. They can't take it back. And in a way, I get it. Jaylen Brown has taken on more of a workload every year. And for several years, he got better in every category. This year, he had more points per game, but his efficiency was down. Last year, his efficiency was down from the year before that. So that's worrying me a little bit that I feel like his confidence has grown, but he's taking worse shots. Ideally, you would like his efficiency to go up. And you know what? Maybe this is the year for that. Maybe his bag at this point is mostly complete, and if he gets a better handle, he can take better shots. And obviously, maybe he'll get some more open looks because Porzingis will be able to stretch the defense more, and Derek White has now become a better three-point threat, and, now Al will be either coming off the bench and just being a stretch 4, or Robert Williams will not start anymore, and so all 5 guys on the floor are 40%-ish three-point shooters outside of Jaylen Brown. So, Jason Tatum only shot like 33% from 3 last year, too. So, both these guys need to get a little bit more efficient shooting the basketball. But we'll see what happens. Again, I was just kind of hoping it wouldn't happen just because I don't think he's worth that money right now. Or maybe ever. But he made second-team All-NBA, which means that in the eyes of basketball world, he's a top 10 player in the NBA. And now he's getting paid like the number 1 guy. And so we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Celtics fans, what do you guys think? And even non-Celtics fans, what do you guys think? Do you think that contract was worth it? Do you think that it's going to be worth it in the long run? Do you think Jason Tatum is going to walk now because we can't afford to pay him? Or do you think that somebody's going to get traded down the road? Let me know what all of you guys think. I appreciate all of you guys so very much. Thank you so much for watching the podcast. Keep an eye out, as I said, for those announcements. And I will see you all next time. Hey guys, me again. I just want to say thank you so much for checking out the Lopes Goes Last podcast. It means the world to me that you decided to stick all the way to the end. That's super cool. So thank you again. And if you really, really like what you see, I'd love for you to subscribe, like the video, and share it with all your family and friends because, this is my passion project. This is what I love to do, and I really want the sucker to grow. And the only way that can happen is through you guys, is if you guys can help me out. So again, if you like what you saw, please subscribe, like the video, share with all your friends and family. That's the only way this is going to grow. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.